We're on.
Hello, we're back.
Number 87.
Ooh, 87.
Hello, everyone. How are you tonight? I say tonight because
it is, and it's a
tonight.
rainy night. It threw our energy off earlier.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
This whole
Yeah.
but we needed the rain.
and
Yeah, we did. I was actually just saying that the other day. I said, oh, it hasn't rained in
Yeah.
a long time. We really
Yeah.
need the rain.
But then we ate and had a
Yeah.
good time and lots of candy. So now we're
I
all
know.
good now.
But you know, I really forgot. I was remiss in the last podcast. I wanted to mention something.
Yes.
Nelson DeMille was supposed to come to my book launch, and when I sent out the reminder to people that had RSVP'd, he replied back and that he just wasn't feeling quite right under the chemotherapy that he was having, and so he turned me down. And rightfully so, because a week later he passed away.
And we didn't even know that he was undergoing chemo, right? I didn't know that he was
I
ill.
think that he sent out an email in June about it, and I don't remember for sure.
I don't remember him mentioning it because I get
Well,
that
no, he
too.
wasn't mentioned. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. But
Anyway, it was sad.
It's a loss.
very
to,
nice
It's
man.
a loss to the literary world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
You know, he.
And
Yeah.
personally, he was
he has
just a very
six-
kind person.
He has a 16-year-old son. So,
Yeah.
and his wife had died a
Yeah.
few years ago. So, it's all very sad. But
Yeah.
you know, he was doing another book with his other son Alex, and that is going to come out, I think, in about 6 months. But Nelson, we'll miss you. Anyway.
He was a
Yeah.
big patron of the arts too.
Yes,
So
he was
that's-
very supportive.
He was
of our-
very supportive of our bookstore.
We
So-
lost another, not a writer, but I think, contributed. Yes, Dame Maggie
Yes,
Smith.
I love her.
And Professor McGonagall
Yeah.
from the Harry Potter series, amongst
I know.
many things. She was in the.
She was in Downton Abbey. Oh,
yeah.
she was so good in that.
And you know, I see pictures of her when she's so much younger, and she was just such a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Very
She
beautiful.
had a presence
Prime of
on
this,
screen.
Jean Brodie. She
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
but
she was-
I like even she's older, and a lot of her roles that people growing up now will probably know her in her older roles.
Yeah.
And I
Right,
feel
right.
that it was wonderful because she had a presence and she became so beloved even
Yeah.
at such an older age, which
Well-
is hard for a woman in
Yeah.
in
Well, it's
movies.
funny because I saw an interview. Someone interviewed her, and she was saying how she said, I could go out and live my life because people never recognized me. She said until I was in Harry Potter,
Oh,
and
yes.
then little kids.
Oh.
And one little boy said to her once, were you really a cat? Because she turns into a
She
cat.
does, yes.
That's so,
So, yeah, she said little kids used to
I
recognize
can
her.
see that. What a
After that, yeah.
to me that would be a
Was
Yeah.
she ever on Broadway? Because I know that we have a topic of Broadway.
You know what? That's a good idea. I don't know if she was.
I thought I read that in the Times that she was in something on
But what?
Broadway.
Talk to me about Broadway.
Oh, well, I went to something which, having grown up in New York and been a patron of Broadway for such a long time, didn't know existed, which is a flea market on Broadway.
I love that.
Oh, I saw that
Yes.
in the paper where they just put all the old
you see her?
flowers.
Oh, gosh,
Did
you
you
know,
just-
No, I saw it in last
I
week.
had
It was in the
I
Times.
put some pictures on Facebook. My cousin Sharon,
Facebook.
she is also a patron of the arts, and she's got one of her children, Joaquin, is a big patron of the arts as well. So as my girls are, and so her good friend Kenny works to help set this and organize this up.
Oh,
And so
interesting.
she told me about it when we were vacationing together this summer in Puerto Rico, and we were like, yeah, let's go. And you should have seen this. It was, where all the theaters are.
Uh-huh.
Every street was all lined up with. It was a mob scene too. It was all lined up with, where they would just put out everything, signed copies.
And it's free, right?
No, it's not free.
Oh, I
No.
thought it was free.
Oh, it's free to go to, but to buy things you have
Right.
to, you pay money. So They had scripts, they had costumes, they had so many cool things, old programs, some signed, some not
Yeah.
signed, music scores, all of this great stuff.
Was Lin-Manuel there?
Not that I saw. We didn't make it through all of it. We went down Schubert Alley that way for the most part.
Okay.
But we got to see like Neil Patrick Harris
I love
was
him.
there
Yeah.
with his husband. We got to see the cast of Once Upon a Mattress,
Oh, okay.
and we saw quite a few things. But I'm still regretting. I got there fairly early, and they had some good costumes. One of the original tour jackets from the chorus line was up, and I had it in my hands.
Oh.
And it was $75, which doesn't seem
No.
like much. And I was like, should I get this? But it had the name on it, and it said Don on
Oh.
it. And that, so I was like, oh, that kind of, I was like, oh, I don't want somebody else's name on there,
Right,
you
right.
know.
Was it embroidered on?
Yes,
Oh.
and it was embroidered. I was like, I could put a patch over it.
Yeah.
I said, whatever. And I said, you know what? Let me look at it. And of course, I came back. And of course, it's
Yeah.
gone. You
Yeah.
know, I should have just grabbed it. But
Yeah.
my girls got a bunch of things with
How
her.
awesome.
It was such a great day.
I'll go next year.
Yes,
Yeah, I
okay.
would definitely go.
All right, great.
Yeah, it was in the Times or someplace, and I saw the pictures, and I
Yeah.
said, "Oh, that must be so much fun."
It was just, if you're not a fan of crowds, I would be
Uh-huh.
like, because I'm not that
Yeah.
much, so I had to take a little step back a few times. But for the most part, it was great. It was a lot of
I
fun.
want to
Yeah.
go to the play Left on 10th.
I've heard of
It's
this. Remind
Delia
me.
Ephron. It's her,
Oh yeah,
based
I saw
on her
it.
book.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And so
Maybe
I'd
that's
like to go.
Okay.
Because I got
You
to
could do-
interview her for that book.
All right.
Yeah.
So I would love to.
That was at Theodore's.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, no, I always say I want to do more
I want to
shows
see
on Broadway.
Suffs. I really want to see Suffs.
Oh, I've heard
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And of
Yeah.
course Hamilton.
I know. I'll go see that. Carol doesn't want to go, but I'll go with you. Because I will see it.
There you go.
We should take the kids because my girls want to see it too.
Well, then you guys go with your girls, okay?
Well, we offered you.
No, I saw it on TV.
Too
I saw-
expensive to take the kids.
I know.
So anyway, this is called Bottle Poetry,
Pretty color.
and it's a Pinot Noir. And I love the bottle. It says, "The wine of love is music,
Oh, I can taste it.
and the
I can smell it.
feast of love is song. And when love sits down to the banquet, love sits long."
Oh.
And then, let me read to you. "If you could bottle poetry, you'd find yourself holding this elegant Pinot Noir, enticing but not too showy. It gradually opens up in the glass, allowing you to discover hidden depths. Each sip pens a new verse, revealing lively raspberry, violet, and subtle savory notes. Beautifully fresh when lightly chilled, which I didn't chill it. It's delicious with salmon, as well as white meats, duck, and even mac and cheese. Or simply enjoy it alongside your favorite book of poems." So it's called Bottle Poetry, and it's a Pinot Noir, and I'm not going to tell you anything more about it until we
It's got great legs.
test it.
I
I
really
can
like the color.
I can taste it.
Really? You like the
I
color?
Look at the
can't.
color.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
can taste it in the back here through the smell.
Oh,
So
really?
to me, that's got to be. I think that's a good sign.
Right.
I would think. But I'm
Did
not
you
tasting
taste it yet?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, to Nelson.
Cheers, Nelson. I can't drink it, but
I know.
but it smells great.
It's very smooth. No, baby boy.
A bit of a bite.
So it's
Sherlock.
raspberry. It's not. There's no cherry or strawberries in here, huh?
Not according to the label.
It's very good. I like it.
Yeah, it goes down very smoothly.
Yeah.
It smells heavenly. I really do like the smell of it.
What do you think the alcohol content is?
I'm going to say 13 and a half.
Yeah, I'm going with 13, 14.
13.
Oh, okay.
And price point?
I'm not gonna guess on that right now.
I'm gonna say $17.99.
You're not gonna
I
get
didn't taste
it?
it, so yeah.
$20.
Okay.
That's not bad. If it's
No.
is it good? What would you rate this?
It's good. I like it. I would say like 4.5.
I'll go with that.
Okay, so that's a good price
Mhm.
for a 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, I love the bottle. I think it's so pretty, and so
Anything that puts poetry in our hands, I'm
Yeah.
a proponent of.
I know,
Yeah, that's
definitely. Very good.
I
Okay.
love that.
It's gonna be yummy.
So, Miss Peggy,
Oh,
think
so
you,
I have the book.
You do. See,
The
it's
book.
Wildflowers podcast, books, booze, and
Banter.
But we do the booze first.
Yeah,
So we should change it to booze,
Booze,
books, and
banter.
banter.
Yeah.
I know.
It doesn't have the same
It doesn't have the
ring to
same flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
No.
So,
All right.
but anyway, the book that I am going to review today is called Burn, and it's by Peter Heller.
Didn't you review one of his books?
I reviewed 3 of his books, I
okay.
believe.
I like the
Yes.
cover.
Yeah.
It looks like a painting. Oil
Yeah.
painting.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
it
does.
does.
Yeah. Yes, I've read. I think I've reviewed at least 2 of them.
I think so.
But,
too.
but
this
I've
is
read
author you
3
like.
besides this. I've
Okay,
read
okay.
3 of his other books.
Okay.
I read The River, and
Yes.
I read The Guide,
Yes.
and
Oh,
I
yes.
read The Dog Stars.
Okay, yes.
And now we have Burn, and
Okay.
all of his books are post-apocalyptic.
Just up your
So,
alley.
love them.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going to happen in a couple of years.
Get survival skills.
So anyway, this is a story about 2 men, Jess and Story, and they have been childhood friends.
Okay.
You know, all their lives. They grew up in the country together, so there was hunting and fishing and camping and
I feel like
you know,
a song
like
the way you said that.
And going to grandma's house.
and Jess lived with his parents. He was an only child, and his parents were not bad people. Like his father was a professor and his mother was like a teacher, and they were really into their books and things. And so he had kind of like a lonely childhood. Like they didn't really share themselves very well
Right,
with him.
nourishing.
Yeah, you know, like they weren't cruel to him, they loved him, and so he spent a great deal of his time with Story's family. Excuse me.
No, I was going to drink your wine. All of a sudden I was going to grab your wine.
Well,
and I was-
don't touch my
Here,
wine.
you can have mine.
So anyway, he spends a lot of time with his friend Story's family, and they're very open and
His
loving.
friends,
and
what? What's,
his friend's name is Story,
Story.
Storey.
oh, interesting.
So he's always there, like he sleeps there, he eats there, spends holidays there. Once in a while he goes home to check in. And it's like this wonderful family where the parents are so nurturing and so attentive. And Story has siblings, and he's really part of their family.
Oh, good.
So the book develops a lot of these, the stories of when they were young. It goes back and forth because he's remembering things. Jess, the narrator is Jess, the one who has like the stiff parents.
Okay.
So anyway, they make this annual trip every year. They go on some hunting expedition. They go into the wilderness. So either they're hunting or they're fishing, they're camping.
This is the Story family.
No, this is these
Jess's
2
family.
grown men. They're not
Oh.
kids anymore.
Okay, all right.
They grew up together.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
now this is them as adults.
Gotcha.
They don't live near each other anymore, but every year they go
come
on this
together.
big camp, and they go out into the wilderness like they're real survival people.
Right, okay.
It isn't like they
I'm
went
with
to
you now.
a KOA
Okay.
campground.
Right.
So they decided on this one particular year to go to Maine,
Okay.
and they were going to go to Maine in I think it's in the autumn or late summer or something. I don't think that really has a bearing on the story anyway. So they make this annual trip and they go to Maine, and they're off the grid when they go. So they're in their truck, and it's like time, they need gas. They have a pickup truck and they need gas. So they said, okay, we're going to have to get in the truck now and drive to the nearest town because they're going to head home. Story has a family. He has, kids and his wife. And Jess was married, but his wife left him. So he's like really lonely. And, but Story, said, all right, we have to start heading home. So they go in the truck and they're driving and they're in the middle of nowhere and the truck runs out of gas. So they said, okay, so now they have to walk like miles and miles and miles. So they say, all right, they lost the GPS too. There's no signal. So they start walking where they think the nearest town is because they do have a map. And they get to this town and everything is burned down to the ground. And there's a bridge and the bridge is blown out. You could tell like somebody exploded it. And all the buildings are burned to the ground, but there's hardly any corpses. There's only a couple that they see. So now they're saying, what the heck happened here? So the rest of the story is about them trying to find out why people are shooting at them.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
this taking place contemporary?
Yes, yes,
okay.
They went down by this river and they saw somebody across the river who jumped into a boat and started speeding down the river, and there's like Black Hawk helicopters come, they shoot them.
Oh my gosh.
So they're saying, holy mackerel, what the hell is going on? So now they don't know who's the good guys and who's the bad guys.
Right.
So it turns out that there had been some talk about a succession in Maine. And so now they have to they're trying to make their way.
And go to Canada.
Well, they're trying to make their way towards, he wants to go home, Story, and he lives in Vermont.
Oh, okay.
But they have to they said, let's go to the nearest big city because probably then the government will have that under control and we'll be safe there and we'll find out what's going on.
Didn't they see The Handmaid's Tale?
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to say too much more about it because it'll give it away, but
that sounds really interesting.
they start making their way home and they do find somebody alive that they take under their wings. I'm not going to say who it is. It was pretty interesting what they did. And it's a really good book.
I can see this being a movie.
Oh my God, yeah. All of his books I could see
Yeah.
being movies. I love his stories.
I'm very intrigued by that. That's
Wildflowers?
interesting.
Oh, definitely 5 Wildflowers.
And
This is one of those books, that you don't get that often,
Yeah.
but like after you've got finished doing your chores, whatever, you say, oh my God, I can't wait to go home because now I can read my book.
Yes.
So very good writer. I love you, Peter Heller. You always keep me very well entertained and a little bit scared.
Yes. Good review. Well done.
Vern is the book, Peter Heller.
When did that come out? Can I look at that?
It just came out.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
brand
yeah.
new?
I'm sure it's like.
Oh, I like it. Oh, it says Peggy. Oh, you stamped it with your book, so you're not giving that one
No,
away.
my sister bought that for me for my birthday
nice.
because she said you always complain when people steal your books.
2024, yes. And okay. By Alfred A. Knopf.
Yeah,
Publishing. Yeah.
Knopf is
Knopf.
Penguin.
Yeah,
Random
nice.
House. Yeah, Maureen bought this for me. It says,
I think I've seen that before. It's nice.
Peggy, from the library of Peggy. Read it, love it, return it.
Oh, I like that.
I might have to get that for my daughter.
Yeah, that's cool.
Find out where she got that, because I want to
She got it from some guy, he's in Manhattan. She found him online.
All right.
So,
I
yeah.
gotta look.
Yeah.
All
I'll
right.
ask her. She'll send me
That
the
was a
info.
good review.
Yeah.
And now my topic's going to be very short, but it's kind of something relevant, something I was thinking about. The decline and fall of customer service in this country.
Oh, boy.
Now, all of us, for you watching us, we all have retail backgrounds.
Yeah, we all have customer service
We met in
backgrounds, yeah.
Borders, but I know way before Borders that was my main job,
Yeah.
working at the mall, many different stores.
Yeah.
everything. I know you have too.
My first job when I was
Yeah.
13 was working in the local dry cleaners. I
Yeah.
worked there for 4 years. So.
Yeah, I worked at a over-the-counter store selling like cigarettes and
Yeah.
makeup, and then like your little
Yeah.
kind of, and then going to the Hallmark and then shoe stores and so
Yeah.
many different things. And so I want to ask you a series of questions, but what got me thinking of this was I read an article a couple days ago by Oriana Rosa Royale from Fortune. It was online, and it was called "Bosses Are Firing Gen Z Grads Just Months After Hiring Them. Here's what they say need to change." And what they were talking about was Gen Z. So these are the ones that are graduating college, I guess, and what they're finding. Their issues with Gen Z mainly. And so she broke it down into that they were unprofessional and unprepared, lack motivation, unorganized, have poor communication skills,
Wow.
that they're often late to work or meetings and think it's really no big deal, right? That they are, what's my writing say? That they wear not office appropriate clothing, to the workplace, and use inappropriate language in the workplace. And I thought this might be a topic too, because it's been a little pet peeve of mine for a while when I go to a store, or not even just a company too, if I'm dealing with, even if it's over the phone or something, just to say, I'm finding a trend, of feeling very frustrated sometimes, but it's making me pay attention to those companies and stores where they seem to get it right. And so I want to talk about that in a minute, but I thought it was timely because I also read another article, I think this morning online, that Amazon is forcing all of its employees to come into the office 5 days a week. And so I'm wondering how that's going to play out with like a Gen Z, if this is really how it's gone. And I'm sure if Amazon's doing it, other companies are probably going to want to fuzz it. I'm not a fan of this policy, but there you are.
But you know what? They're trying to, because I read a little about that, and the reason why they're doing it is not to punish their employees. It's because they feel that their employees aren't immersed in the culture of the company because they're not there. They're not there in the room with the other, staff members. Everybody's in their own little niche. So that's one of the reasons why these companies are doing that.
I hear that. I just think there's other ways that you can, there's no one size fit all. And we are in a different, I don't want to talk about telework anymore. I know I did something on that, but I wanted to ask you, have you guys noticed a decline in customer service? Now you two were also employers too, where you had to hire staff at some point too, but what about your experience in customer service?
Well, it's just funny that you're talking, it wasn't my personal experience, but a neighbor of mine, she brought her car in for an inspection just this week, and she said she was waiting and waiting and waiting, and she saw the guy, shooting the breeze with other workers, and nothing was happening, so she went to him and she was like, "Is my car ready?" He goes, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get it, just hang in there." And he went back shooting the breeze, and he wasn't really, and she had a dog at home that she wanted to take care of, and she told him that. He goes, "Oh, I used to have a dog too, they can wait." And so then she said it was an 2.5 hours. Now this is just for an inspection, and I'm not going to say who the dealership is or anything, but she said she saw him in the break room. She could see like the break room, and he was shooting the breeze or whatever. Then so she finally went to him and she said, "Hey, and then so he starts talking politics with her.
Oh gosh.
And it's not the politics that you want to talk to somebody about. And she said, "Carol, I couldn't believe this. I could not believe this." So she ended up writing an email to the manager and saying this is also inappropriate. So
I have a question. Was he a Gen Zer or an older person?
She didn't tell me.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
She did not tell me. She just he was talking about trans people and how they had no rights.
See, and that goes to this article, is inappropriate language in the workplace. Because when I started working in retail, or in customer service, I was actually taught customer service. So like where they said, I didn't know how to use the register. That's what
Right,
so
yeah.
how to use these registers, and we did a lot of pop-ups. I worked in a mall, so especially at the holidays, there was a lot of pop-ups like in the middle of the mall and stuff. So we didn't have registers per se. We had to be able to like figure out the tax, use the calculator, and then do change, and so I was taught proper change. So if something, cost
something back.
16.32 and somebody handed me a 20, you put the 20 on top, you don't ever put it in the drawer, and then you start with the change, or 3 cents makes, 35, and nickel makes 40, a dime makes 50, 2 quarters makes 17, and you take the singles out and go 18, 19, 20.
Right.
And you hand it back, and that's come in so handy to me later on. And then I don't see anybody, it's been a long time since anybody's counted change back to me.
Because there's amount tendered on registers.
Right.
We had that problem at Borders because I didn't grow up with that.
Yeah.
I grew up, you counted back your change.
You knew how to do it. I didn't have to do that.
And what if you put in the wrong amount tendered? And now my drawer is short because maybe they didn't give you $30. Maybe they gave you $28.
Right.
So amount tendered can be dangerous.
Okay.
And I had problems with kids that they said, oh my God, something happened with the register. And now I don't know how much change to give back.
Right.
And I don't think that they were Gen Zers, because I'm going back into the 90s when I was working at Borders.
Okay.
But that is a problem.
Well, Peggy and I, when we had the bookstore, the first person, we won't use any names,
No.
but this man, guy, kid, not really a kid, but
He was, he was
but-
like in his 20s.
we had to fire him because he was not interested at all in helping the bookstore stay afloat.
He wasn't interested in the customers.
Right. He was
And
very
that's sarcastic.
That comes through to your customer.
And, oh my God, it really did.
Yeah.
So what happens, we didn't officially, because we knew his mother, so we
Oh,
didn't
that's
officially
right.
fire him. I just kept on giving him less and less and less hours.
I forgot
until
that.
he just didn't come back.
Yeah. No, but he was
But
horrible.
he was terrible.
And that can affect, that leads into one of my questions was, have you ever, has poor customer service like that, experienced something like that when it's not corrected, and has that stopped you from ever using a company before?
Did not too long ago. I rarely get takeout food.
Okay.
But I had been at the food pantry really late. I had nothing thought out for dinner. And there's this place in our neighborhood where like you could grab a burger and everybody said, the burgers are really good and the fries are good. And I had never been there. So I said, I'll go to this place. So I walked in and there's one person sitting like waiting for their order, I guess. So I walked in and I'm looking and where is the person behind the counter? And then I see her, she's sitting over to the side on like, there was a ledge by the window, and she was sitting there on her phone. So I said, okay, I'll wait a few minutes. She just never looked up. She must have heard me come in, and I'm standing there, and finally, it's minutes later, I had to say, excuse me, I'd like to place an order. Very totally, and she was a young girl, maybe high school age.
Gen Zer?
And she took my order and then went and sat down again on her phone.
Yes, and that's what I'm worried about.
I never went back. Well, the burger wasn't that good anyway. And but I never went back, and that was really the main reason. I said it was totally disinterest on her part.
Natasha and I went to dinner at this Chinese restaurant about 2 weeks ago. The waiter was amazing. The food was so good. We were just so pleased with everything. And the next night, it was after my event at Back in Time. So Jason and not Anya because she was here, but and Corey, Matt, and everybody. They said, "Where are we gonna go? Where are we gonna go?" And then Natasha suggested the restaurant. She goes, "Do you mind, Mom, if we go back?" I said, "No, it's fine." The experience was so different. The young girl totally forgot to put our order in. We're sitting there waiting.
Oh my goodness.
And then she came and she tried to pretend that it was because the kitchen was very busy But then she didn't realize that some of my kids worked in the restaurant, so they knew how to look on the receipt to what time the food order was put in. And it was, she totally didn't try to correct it, didn't apologize. I'll go back because the food is that good, but it definitely changed the whole atmosphere and experience that we had.
Well, I think the phone, like with your experience with the phone, that's changing the way the workforce is because, you know, I think what I'm hearing a lot of complaints too, I've come across that where you're going anywhere and either you're waiting to be rung up or you're waiting to ask a question or to get assistance and somebody is...
Yep. Because they're addicted.
Yeah, it's addicted.
Yeah.
They can't put it away.
Yep.
And so, and I think that contributes to what the article noted about the lack of communication skills. They're talking to the customers the same way they're talking on Snapchat
exactly.
or, you know, just, they're not having, making eye contact.
There's not like face-to-face
No
stuff
face-to-face
going on.
or a greeting, you know, even the greeting, hi,
I know.
how are you?
Yeah.
You know, nothing like that. It's just what?
Yep.
What? You know.
Yeah, not even can I help you.
No,
Just,
or and I find myself, and only because out of habit, like when I'm paying, I'm like, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Me saying it to them,
Yeah,
I'm thanking them for letting me shop at their store. And I go, why do I do that?
Yeah.
And I go, it's something to pay attention to, but I know for me the biggest, I had a big issue, and I gave it so many times at CVS. I'm sorry, CVS. You lost me
CVS is the worst. Sorry.
I used to shop at them regularly. And then when my girls were little, unfortunately, we needed their pharmacy a lot because they always get strep throat or ear infections or something. And I noticed, you know, the pink medicine, it was always short.
Oh, amoxicillin.
Yeah. Or what any other prescription I get, it'd be a pill short. Or two pills short. And then I would call and complain and they would act like it's me.
Right.
You took too much medicine. And I said, no.
Right.
And so I would actually, and the lines were always so long to get it. And one time I was waiting for something with pills and I've had it with them. And they were like, here. And I go, excuse me.
Count them.
I would like this counted. And they got so frustrated. It was short 3 pills.
Yep.
And I said, I don't know what you are doing back here. But every time there are pills that are short, I said, I've called, I've complained. I said, this is the last prescription I'm ever filling.
Good for you.
And I went to the Stop and Shop pharmacy and could not have been happier with the pharmacy at Stop and Shop. And I've written them nice, you know, reviews and stuff. I just, and it doesn't just extend to the pharmacy though, but it's the fronts. Sometimes I go in there just because I went happy, and the last time I went, I just had to flip. The guy was so rude. Just, again, and he was an older guy, so I can't even put this on because he was an older guy. Not elderly, but I'm saying maybe like my age. Just, whatever. And then the bill came out to like $20-something more than I thought it was. I was like, excuse me. I go, what? Why is that? He goes, that's the total. I go, what is it though? I said, I don't have $20 worth of stuff. And I looked on it, and there was a 3-pack of hair accessories or something that I didn't have.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he had it there scanned or they were gonna. I said, I don't know what. I said, I didn't buy that. Well, it's on here. I said, I didn't buy it. Now I gotta wait for a supervisor. He called for a supervisor. Nobody came. I was waiting for 15 minutes and nobody came. And I just said, I didn't want to come in here. And now I'm mad at myself that I did. And
you said that too?
I did. I said, and I walked out. And it's every time I've had a bad experience.
So you walked out, so you got shorted?
I just left. I didn't pay.
Oh, you did?
I stopped it. I wouldn't give my card because it just was too much. And I said, tell me why it's this much.
Right.
Yeah.
And he got like annoyed with me and annoyed. And I just said, you know what? Void it out. I'm done. I go, I'm just so done. I will never shop there again.
The last 2 times, I'm a captive, we're a captive audience. Oyster Bay is a very small town, so like you really don't have much choice unless you want to drive to another town. So CVS, it's got to be the worst CVS in the world.
No,
it's very
my
dumpy
town
too,
is the
but
worst.
it's dumpy too.
Yeah, mine is dumpy.
And
I think it's their
the last couple of times I went, I was actually pleasantly surprised. They must have fired all the assholes.
Oh, okay.
Because they had these young kids there that were just rude. They didn't greet you. They don't care.
Yeah.
throwing receipts at you.
So is it?
And now they hired some people who actually say hello to you when you go up to the register. And they thank you when you're leaving.
Now, are they young? Like, so I'm trying to figure out what the problem is.
No, they're not young. They're like older people.
And that's
like
what
maybe
I'm
in their late 30s, early 40s, you know.
Now that we've, you
Like
know,
grown-ups.
we've griped about it, the good ones I've noticed at like NIU in Farmingdale, the Ulta store I found has very good customer service.
Okay. All right.
But I find they're mostly older people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm wondering, you know, is it a Gen Z problem?
I think it's a youth problem.
Or is it a company problem, not training them right?
Exactly.
Because I
not-
didn't know what to expect.
Not giving them a sense of pride in the business and the company
And not correcting that behavior, because
Yes.
in Borders, there were certain standards for customer service.
Yeah.
And like if somebody was
Right.
being not nice to the customers, you know, like I would have to say, you know, like you could smile and greet the customer and
Right.
thank them and be
Right.
polite,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get corrected, and most of the ones that were there, they were like high school students who don't want to be there.
So that's what I guess for this article is like lack of motivation, organization, poor communication, something. I guess, you know, parents obviously should work with their kids. The school has a little bit of a role, I guess, in getting college ready, right? You know, or post college. But don't you think maybe the employers, like you said, should set
Yeah.
the expectations?
Exactly. This is how you behave when you're here.
Well, that's like when we had the bookstore. We were always
We were good role models,
Right.
so anybody that worked for us, except for that one person,
right.
was very friendly to the customers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is very sad that. I mean, I know that every generation complains about the generation after them, but still, I mean, it's.
Well,
What do you think? What do you
Yeah.
think about, like, when do you go to the self-serve aisles to read?
That's a good one to do. Yes, I actually do.
I do too.
And I never do, because I would rather have that human contact.
For me, a lot of it is just quickly,
Convenience.
you know, is convenience. I use that little handheld thing that I can scan,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
and
I
so
don't use
sometimes,
that, yeah.
sometimes if I can get one, and
Yeah.
then this way for me it's quick because I'm running around. I'm supposed to be in 3 different places right now. I
Right,
feel like,
right,
you know, so for
right,
me it's like
right.
quickly I can
Right.
scan it, be done. But I do feel a twinge of guilt when I do it because it's like soon everything is going to be a computer
Well, most
job.
of the stores I go to, there's hardly any real people working the registers. So, like, you could wait online over there where the two humans are working, because a lot of people
Yeah.
prefer doing that. Or I could go over here where there's 4 registers and people
Right.
don't have big orders, so then
But-
you're in and out.
The Stop and Shop that I go to, they're all look like they're all retired people working there.
Yeah.
They're not.
I have
young,
a mix
yeah.
by me in the Stop and Shop. I think there's some young people and there's
Yeah.
some looks like
Yeah.
retired people. I don't know. Is it then the company's role then? Are they trying to get us away from the interaction with the staff by
course they
giving
are.
us
It's cheaper.
so that they don't have to hire and they don't have to
Sick
train
time,
Yeah.
vacation time, training,
retirements?
workers' compensation.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a
You know,
shame.
so-
It's a shame.
Yeah.
But our generation here as Gen Zers are losing out. And I feel bad if this article is accurate that a lot of them are being fired within months after hiring.
Yeah.
You know,
Well-
they need training.
Well, you can't just fire somebody. So those people that they're firing within months must have gotten warnings. Hey, your performance, you get performance.
Yeah.
You know, and if somebody's not performing well, they have to get a write-up. And that's like your
Right.
warning, like this is what you have to do, you have to improve.
Right.
Now, for me, I live in a small town, so I go into a lot of the local businesses, and there's Gen Zers working there. It's a whole different experience.
Yeah.
Being in this little business, people are friendly and they're nice and they greet you and it's a pleasant experience than going into like a bigger store. But even at the Target where I go, like people
That's
are
another
pretty
one.
nice. I mean, I don't see it a lot. I've had a couple of experiences. There's one kid that works the customer service desk in Stop and Shop that if he ever made eye contact with anybody, I'd probably faint. Like he couldn't be bothered.
See, I like my Stop and Shop. I think they have a good, they have it going on.
Yeah.
I think as far as all of that, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's just the CVS that in my community that I'm.
But that's a really great subject.
Is it? Oh, okay.
I think
It's
when you said it, I'm like, oh, I think we're gonna get some conversation.
Well, it's something that we
can all relate to,
exactly,
and we have experience because that was our background for so long, and it's something I know I never didn't until I did it. I didn't know it.
Right.
So as I have kids going into the workforce now, I would wish somebody would give them that too.
Right.
So without just or like
right.
give them a chance before just firing.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting it. They're not getting penmanship. They're still writing in regular.
I mean, I remember when we were adopting Corey, we had to go to the immigration service and fill out some paperwork, whatever. And a lot of people there were trying to get, their papers and whatever, and they weren't from the United States. And I was horrified the way they were treated and the way Rob and I were treated, because we walked in and the girl had some kind of book open in front of her. Her feet were up on the desk, no eye contact, chewing her gum, and I was like, hello? Yeah? And then we told her what we wanted, whatever, and everybody else, she treated everybody, and I was like, this is embarrassing.
Is it a state job or a county job? Or?
Well, it was for the immigration.
Okay, so it's a government job. You ever go into a buildings department?
Yeah.
They want to blow your brains out.
But
they're
I'm
horrible
sorry.
there.
But it's just wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, and I know this is wrong, but one last thing on it. What you get really bad customer service, but it can be very funny though too, and sticks with you. When I was young, probably a teenager, shopping at the A&S. Remember A&S?
Oh my God, that was my favorite store.
And the mall. So my mom and I were at the register, and there was a woman there working, and it was late. They closed the mall, I guess, at 9:30 or something. So it was probably like 9 o'clock, and you're just ready to go home. And we were ringing up, and she's like, no eye contact, just and this woman comes up on the side. You're trying to ask questions. She goes, excuse me, and she just stopped. Gave her this look, and the woman goes, can you tell me where the princess skirts are? That was the big princess skirts, like they were in style at the time. And she looked at her, didn't even acknowledge her, just went back and said, I don't even know what a princess skirt is. I just popped and I started cracking up.
It was horrible, but it's funny.
But funny but horrible. And it's still like you joke about that every now and then.
That's cute.
We had an experience with A&S because we used to shop there all the time. I had the credit card, and we used to go to the one in Hempstead, right there on whatever that was, Fulton Street, or it wasn't Broadway, it was something, whatever. So it was me and Jimmy, my husband, and Maureen and Roy, because we were always together. And Jimmy needed a new winter coat. So we went into A&S, and we were hysterical, laughing about things. And he's trying on all kinds of coats, and we're laughing.
Yeah.
And this saleswoman kept on coming over and saying, having fun, and like being really, really snarky to us, like we were just like four crazy people who have no intention of buying anything. And she came over a couple of times with us because we were enjoying ourselves. And then when we had to go up to the register, she was up there because we were actually buying a coat, and she was, like she didn't expect us to be customers.
Oh my goodness.
And like she just made that presumption about who we were.
She pretty
and then I whipped out my A&S card.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, good subject. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, everybody.
Remember,
Bye.
good customer service.
Count your change.
Yes, change.
And the kids still, they hand over the change money without even like.
You know what makes me crazy is when they hand me the receipt.
Oh, bye everybody.
Bye.